Hello and welcome to my manga reading log for November. And in November I read 22 total volumes, which is like 6 less than last month. Last month I read 28. So the numbers went down a bit, but that's okay. So yeah, 22 volumes. There was only a couple of days where I didn't read anything at all, whereas October I read every single day. But some, obviously, manga took me multiple days to finish. So anyway, let's get on with what I read in November. And Rowan's here too. He's currently looking out the window. So the first thing I read over the course of the first and the second, I read A Business Proposal Volume 2, and I gave this 4 stars. I've really been enjoying these manhwa that I've been reading, this one, 19th Life, and I haven't read any Secretary Kim this month, but I did write that one too. Yeah, this is it's an office romance where a friend's been set up for a blind date and doesn't want to go, so she has to go in her place and act in a way which would make the guy she's on a blind date with not be interested in her. And the guy she's on a blind date with is a CEO of a company who turns out to be her boss. So she turns up on a blind date with her boss, and she's pretending to be this this person who constantly having sex with different men every night, and just tries to be as unappealing as possible whilst on this blind date. But then he cuts back to her anyway, and is wants to go on more dates with her because his grandfather keeps getting him to go on blind dates, which he thinks is a waste of time. So he thinks if he just gets with her, he won't have to go on any more blind dates and waste his time. It is a comedic one, as opposed to I think Secretary Kim and 19th Life are a bit more serious. This one has more of a comedy aspect to it, but I really like this one. It's a lot of fun. I say I've been enjoying these manhwa, and yeah, the second volume was just as good as the first. On the third, I read volume 10 of Cheeky Brat. This one I also gave 4 stars. We're into college stuff now, at least with Yuki anyway. Her name is Yuki, isn't it? I think it is. And there was obviously, so yeah, we're into college stuff with Yuki now, and there's some more basketball stuff as well. And yeah, Cheeky Brat continues to be good. I'm enjoying it. It is a 22 volume long series in total. Or was it 24? It's in the 20s anyway, so there's still quite a bit left to go. And I'm looking forward to reading them. So yeah, I continue to enjoy Cheeky Brat. It continues to be Cheeky Brat. The characters' dynamics are the same. And yeah, it's good. And on the 4th, I read Volume 5 of Eternal Sabbath. It's taken me a while to get around to reading this one, but I do. Volume 4. This is Volume 5 of Eternal Sabbath. It's taken me a while to get around to this one, but I do want to get the series finished. It's only 8 volumes, so I can start Mars. I want to wait till I finish reading this before I start reading Mars. Rowan! No. Yeah. So I've started reading it again. This was a good volume. This volume contained a lot of but there's stuff I can't really say without spoiling, but there's a little girl in the series called Yuri, and this volume focused a lot on our main character and Yuri's mother, Mine, and talking to Yuri's mother about things. Rowan! That I can't really bring up because of spoiler reasons, but yeah, a lot of this volume revolved around that. It was a good volume. And I have since read volume 6, but I read that this month, so that won't be in this video. But yeah, a couple more volumes and I'll be able to start Mars. I do really enjoy this series. It's sane and like kind of sci-fi drama series where we follow these characters who are known as ES, and they have the ability to like read minds and manipulate people's thoughts. And we have the main guy is Shuto, and he's one of these ES who escaped from this lab, and him and Mine are looking for this younger version of him who was cloned using his DNA called Isaac, and they're trying to like hunt him down because he's like going around killing people because he was raised in a lab and he was never shown any affection because he grew up in a test tube. He was just basically used as kind of a spare so they could experiment on him and find out all about the ES and their genes and stuff without damaging the original, basically. So yeah, he's now escaped along with along with Shuto, and they're trying to like hunt him down as well as one of the people who worked in the lab. It's very good and I've been enjoying it. And that is volume 5. Now, before we get on to the next one, I'm going to let Rowan out. Get out. Go on, get out. Okay, next. On the 5th, I read Pink to Habanero, Volume 1, and I gave this 4.5 stars. I very like this one. This one was so good. It's a high school romance. It's a high school romance where we follow this girl who I've already forgotten her name, Mugi. And she's a freshman in high school, and she has this best friend who's like super popular, super pretty. All the boys are always fawning over her. And Mugi's kind of a bit jealous, and because she never gets any attention because she's quite plain. And she's in high school now, and she wants to find a boyfriend, but no one's ever interested in her because people only ever approach her to ask her about her friend. But if I remember correctly, her friend already has a boyfriend. But yeah, so one day she's at the station and she witnesses this boy in a fight with some other boys. Who is this guy here? I forget his name. Kei Kurose. And she witnesses him in a fight and with him at the train station, and then she randomly decides to go to this night cafe because she wanted to go to a different cafe but it's closed down and been kind of replaced with this one. So she ends up at this night cafe and she finds out Kei Kurose is one of the guys who works at the cafe. So now she knows his secret because other than his close friends, no one knows that he works there. So now she kind of has to keep his secret. And they also go to the same school. So yeah, she starts to get a bit closer to him because of the secret that she has to keep of him working in this night cafe. And yeah, it's very good. I really liked the characters in this one. I really liked the relationship. This is probably one of my new favourite reads of the year. Obviously, I'm going to be doing my top 10 reads of the year probably after Christmas, more towards the end of the year, because obviously there's no time for me to read other new things before then. And this is probably going to be one of them. So yeah, side spoiler for that video. This is definitely going to be one of my top 10 of the year. It was very good. You know, I have currently only read one volume. Yeah, really loved that one. I would definitely recommend it if you like high school romance. Next, on the 6th and the 7th, I read My Noisy Roommate. The Roof Over My Head Comes with Monsters and a Hottie. I gave 3.5 stars. This is a BL. There's nothing like BL-ish going on in this first volume. So, this guy, he's in college. And he's looking for an apartment because his other one I think he was either kicked out or it was demolished. But he's looking for a new place to live, but he doesn't have a lot of money, and he ends up coming across this guy who like offers to rent him a place. And he goes there, and when he goes there, he finds this guy already living there. And this guy's like, yeah, this guy is actually he's a supernatural real estate agent. And their job is to evict ghosts and like yokai from properties when they've kind of overstayed their welcome. So he said he can live in this house with this, but the conditions are that he has to live with this guy, and he like has to help evict this ghost. So like and then they evict the ghost, and he finds out that they work for this supernatural real estate agency, and they kind of offer him a job. And because he like spirits are kind of afraid of this guy, and they kind of like avoid him, but they're attracted to him. And he says having him around makes his job easier because he attracts the spirits, so he can deal with them. So yeah, he gets a job at this agency, and they basically go around to different places and talk to spirits to try and get them to leave peacefully, and if they won't, they have to like forcefully evict them. Yeah, this first one was really interesting. I'm looking forward to finding out more about the characters and why this guy has an affinity for spirits and why they tend to avoid this guy. And like, yeah, the premise was very interesting. I didn't say there's nothing like romantic as of yet between the two of them. They're kind of on okay terms. He doesn't really care for the other guy just yet, but it was very good. If you want like a supernatural BL, give this one a go. That'll be nice to find out what happens next. Next, on the 8th, I read 2 volumes because both of these are very short. The first one was The Ice Guy and the Cool Girl, Volume 5. This was another good volume of this office romance. I love the cover. This is probably my favourite cover so far. I like the purple. Yeah, it's like more... It's very cute. More shenanigans in the office and with these characters. I'm pretty sure this is the volume where the anime ends as well. I think there's one chapter in volume 6 that the anime did cover, but I'm pretty sure the rest of them didn't, because this volume ends on the chapter which the anime ends on, but there is one chapter that was earlier in the anime but is in volume 6 of the manga, which was included, but nothing else apart from that chapter past this point is from the anime, so going forward it's going to be all new content. But yeah, the series is just very cute, it's very sweet. I really like characters, I really like Himuro. He's so quirky. Yeah. If you saw my top 5 videos, you'll know that this is one of my top 5 josei series. It's just very cute and sweet and a nice read. Nothing too heavy, just nice office romance stuff. I gave that 4.5 stars, by the way. And then the other one I read on the 8th, which I gave 4 stars, was the volume 11 of Cherry Magic, another office romance, this one a BL. We're continuing on from where the previous volume left off. We have more developments with the secondary couple. These two. I actually like those two. I actually might slightly prefer those two over the main couple, which is probably controversial because everyone loves the main couple. But yeah, I really like these two. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of their relationship. And obviously I like the main couple too. So yeah, I continue to enjoy Cherry Magic. Again, it's just a nice office romance series. And then on the 9th, I didn't read anything. I can't remember why. And then on the 10th and the 11th, this volume is it's 1.5 volumes in one, so it did take me a couple of days to read. I read Ayazawa's Last Quarter. This is like a supernatural kind of mystery series. I gave this 4 stars. But at first it starts out following this girl, this teenager. And she meets this musician called Adam, and she's kind of hanging out with Adam in this house. And like, then like something happens. And like she gets into an accident. And then the perspective of the series shifts as of the second chapter. Was it the second chapter? Yes, as of the second chapter, the series shifts, and the new main character we're following is this, I think she's a 10, this little girl. And obviously during the first chapter, this girl had an accident. And she kind of goes to this place with a fence where she meets this little girl. And then the second chapter starts with this little girl in the hospital because apparently she's also had an accident. And she's just about to leave the hospital because it wasn't like a major accident or anything, and she's fine. But she ends up going to this house, like, meeting this girl who has amnesia. And she calls her Eve because this girl just keeps saying, I'm looking for Adam. That's the only thing she can remember, is that she's looking for Adam. So she starts trying to like help her get her memories back and trying to figure out who this Adam is and like where to find him. So because she thinks maybe she finds Adam, she can help this girl get her memories back. And obviously she remembers nothing. And also she invites her friends around to help as well. And as it turns out, this girl is the only one who can actually see and hear Eve. No one else can. So like these kids are like thinking this is a ghost, and they kind of need to help her move on by helping her find Adam. But is that really what's happening, or was it something else entirely? You would have to read to find out. But yeah, it is very interesting. I wasn't sure what to think during the first chapter, but we were following, I forget her name, Mizuki. We're following Mizuki in the first chapter, and I wasn't sure what to think with just her and this guy, and she's trying to run away from home to be with him. But then the second chapter happens, and it gets into more like the supernatural mystery stuff, and it got more interesting, following these kids and then trying to solve the mystery of Eve. And I kind of have some inkling about what's going on and who Adam actually is. I won't find out if I'm right until I read the next volume, which is the last one. But yeah, I do have clues as to what I think happened and what I think is going on. And I'll just have to keep reading to find out. But yeah, this one maybe was interesting. Next, on the 12th, I read volume 9 of Given. This is the final volume, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars because it's Given. Like, a lot of people seem to take issue with the ending, but I thought it was quite in character, so I saw nothing wrong with it. The story finished up. We got a look into the future a little bit. Well, not too far into the future, just like a little bit into the future. We get to see what the guys get up to, and then it ends on this point where a lot of people seem to be unhappy with, but I was like, it's in character for Mafuyu, so I don't see an issue with the ending in that way. So yeah, I liked the ending. I thought it was a good ending. I liked how the volume went, and what happened, and the characters, what they chose to do. Yeah, I thought it was a good ending. I really liked it. And then at the end of the series, we've got to have the Strawberry Swing like spin-off. This series of shorts originally came out after the anime aired. I think they were written in celebration of the anime or something like that, but they have been in print. Well, they have been out in Japan for quite a while. They were just never in English before now. That they're in. So yeah, these shorts do not take place after the story. They take place after the anime. So where the anime ended at, which is what, volume 3, 4? Not the movie either, just the original 11 episode TV series. These take place directly after that. They don't take place after the end of the story. And it's just basically Mafuyu and remembering Yuki and talking about Yuki a bit. Obviously after the events of what happened in the anime. So yeah, I really like the Strawberry Swing as well, but I had actually already read Strawberry Swing online because I knew it was a thing, because I'd heard it being talked about, and it wasn't printed, so I have actually already read that part online. But so I was glad to see it actually being put into this volume, so it is actually now available in print to read. But yeah, I really enjoyed Given as a whole. I gave this series like maybe 10 out of 10, maybe 9 out of 10 in total for like the entire series. I love Given. And yeah, I don't think I've ever read a BL that I've loved as much as Given. There's a lot of manga in general that I've read that I haven't loved as much as Given. Given is one of my top 10. Obviously, this didn't appear in any of my top 5 demographic videos because this isn't in one of those demographics that published in a BL magazine. I have done a top 10 BL video before, but I did do it quite a while ago, but I don't think my top 10 has changed all that much since I made that video, so if you want to check that one out, it's still pretty accurate. Maybe 1 or 2 things have changed, but maybe I'll do an updated one at some point. Because I think it was like, 2-3 years ago I did the last one, but yeah. Given's still number 1. Next is number 13. I'm not doing a top 10 here. I read on the 13th, I read Like a Butterfly, Volume 6. I gave this 4 stars. This continues to be cute high school romance. I like the couple. They're both introverted. And they're both very awkward, but they're also both very cute together. And even though they're both very awkward and introverted, they're still making progress. And the progress they are making is actually not that slow either. At least I don't think so. They're just very adorable, these two, and I love this manga. Was there a new character introduced in this one? No, I think he was introduced in the previous volume, but he was in this one quite a bit. And then there was like a Christmas chapter, which is appropriate, even though I read this in November. So yeah, I really like a Butterfly. And then on the 14th, I read something that certainly wasn't cute or adorable, or in any sort of way. And that's Boys Abyss 5. The series is a train wreck, and I love it. Each volume just gets more and more and more messed up, and more things are added that just make this boy's life just that much worse. And his friend as well, the girl who likes to wear her hair a bit like a panda. I forget her name, but his best friend. Her life's terrible as well. And the teacher in this one was absolutely awful to both him and his friend. His mother in this volume did something completely shocking and completely uncalled for. And we find out like a bit more about some other characters. But yeah, this girl, his friend. But yeah, the things that happen in this volume are terrible. The teacher is terrible. The mother has just done something absolutely horrendous. So she's not a very likeable character. Well, she wasn't that likeable to begin with, but she's less likeable now. Obviously, I can't stand the teacher. There's a lot of characters in this who are just arseholes, and they're manipulative, and they're screwing up these kids. And these are adults who are, like, doing these things. It's just, it's terrible, and I love it. It's just such an interesting train wreck that you just have to keep reading it. I think this is finished in Japan now, and I think it has quite a few volumes as well. They are quite quick to read, though. I didn't read anything on the 15th. Again, I can't quite remember why. It was for some reason. Then on the 16th and 17th, it took me a couple of days to get through this too, because it's another manga and they're quite thick. I read Serial in My 95 Volume 3, which I gave 4 stars. This is my favourite out of, like, the 3, like, office romance manhwa that Ise Press has been bringing out, although Secretary Kim is not actually Ise Press. Yeah, this one's probably my favourite, this one. It's definitely getting more interesting. Things are happening. Somebody sang Baby Shark, which I wasn't expecting to see while reading a manhwa. Where was it? I did actually post it on Instagram because I was like, Baby Shark? In my manhwa? I can't find it right now, but yeah, it was definitely there. I can't. It was around about here, I think. No, yeah, it was round about here. Where was it? There we go. She's singing Baby Shark. And that's not what I expected when I picked this up that day. So yeah, it was a good volume. Things happened. I enjoy the, like, reincarnation, like, she's just aspect of it, and we're definitely getting more, like, information about him and what actually happened in her 18th life with the accident and stuff like that, and there's a bit more mystery coming into it, and yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. Even if I did have to read about Baby Shark. Next, on the 18th, I read Tales of the Tendo Family, Volume 2. I gave this 4 stars. I enjoyed this volume. I may have enjoyed this volume more than the first volume, but the series is still interesting. I'm still interested to find out more about who she is. Well, I know who she is, but she doesn't really know where she came from herself. The grandfather's still interesting, although he wasn't really brought up much in this one. This one, they were like, these two are going a bit closer to. He wasn't as much of a dick in this volume as he was in the first one, although he can't exactly make up for what he did in the first volume in just this volume. But yeah, we're introduced to a couple of new characters in this one, including one person who came into it, like, right at the last panel, who, like, seems to have something against Hojo-ran. Yeah, I'm interested to find out more about the Tendo family and their past. There's been rumours in this volume about something that went on, and, like, I was like, is that actually true? Is it not? So yeah, it's definitely interesting. And definitely want to know more about this family and these characters and what's going to happen next. And next, on the 19th, I read Volume 7 of Tsubakicho Lonely Planet. This was another good volume. We had some developments, we had some setbacks, typical things that happen in, like, high school romance. Although this one isn't age cap. There was also some stuff with the side characters. Yeah, it was in the good volume. Not much more I can say without giving stuff away, or it's high school romance. The typical things happen. It's good. Then on the 20th and no, the 20th to the 22nd, it took me 3 days to get through this one because this one is chunky. I read Under the Oak Tree Volume 1. This is huge. I gave this 4 stars. This is a fantasy romance series following a girl called Maxie, and she was married off to this knight 3 years prior because her father had to go join this expedition and he didn't want to, so he had his daughter marry this guy so he could go as his representative in his place to slay this dragon. And then 3 years has passed. They raid together once on their wedding night, but they haven't seen each other since. And her father's quite abusive. He doesn't treat his daughter well at all. He keeps calling her useless. He beats her. He basically makes her feel like she's pointless and that she's not good for anything. And she believes that this guy, because since becoming this hero who slayed the dragon, he's been offered proposals by the princess, and she believes that he's just gonna come and ask her for a divorce. And the father's you can't let that happen because it would disgrace the family. So she also has a stutter. She speaks with a stutter throughout at least this whole first volume. And she has a lot of obviously self-esteem issues and self-worth issues because of the way she was brought up. He doesn't realise any of this. He doesn't realise the way she's been treated. And he comes, and instead of asking for divorce, he basically takes her away to his estate so she can start living with him. And he does have some anger issues, and he has a short temper, and he's a bit overprotective with her at times. But he does treat her a lot better than obviously what her father did. Obviously she has trouble expressing herself, and she has trouble standing up for herself because of the way she was treated as a child and the way she was raised. So she's very meek, and he's kind of a bit more standoffish and a bit more rough. So he's always the one who seems to be taking control of things. But obviously I think at some point as the series goes on, she's going to grow. She's going to start coming out of her shell more, and she's going to start standing up for herself more. At least I hope that's going to be the case. That she will obviously start to be more comfortable standing up and saying what's on her mind, rather than just going along with whatever he wants or the other person wants. Yeah, I did enjoy this, and definitely interested in picking up the next volume. I have bought the light novel. Well, it's a Korean web novel, but I don't know if they consider them light novels in Korea. But I haven't read it yet. I don't think the second volume of the manhwa is actually out into May, June time, something like that. But there is quite a lot of it online. I know the novel has concluded, but the webtoon hasn't. It's still ongoing. But obviously it's quite a lot further along on Manta, which is the website where it's originally posted. So if I wanted, I could go onto the website and continue reading from there, from where this left off. But I think I'm probably just going to wait for the next volume to come out. And this has very nice art. The art in this is just lovely. There is some sex scenes, but you never see anything. They're quite tame. It always kind of fades, kind of like a fade to black. I think I can show it. I think it's alright. Yeah, this is the most that you kind of see. I've heard that the novel is a lot more explicit and a lot more detailed than just seeing him lying on top of her. But yeah, the art is very nice, and I think I will come to like the relationship more once she starts to like grow and like be more confident. Which I think will happen because there is another character in here. This guy, he's kind of like a sorcerer. And she's kind of more comfortable with expressing herself around him. So yeah, I'm interested to see definitely where this goes and continue reading it because I did enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. Next, on the 23rd, I read my special one, volume 6. Now this is the first volume where we've switched main characters. The girl from the first 5 volumes is still in this. She's still part of the story, but she's no longer the focus. This feels so light after holding up under the oak tree for so long. This girl is now the main focus. She is an actress. And ever since she was a teenager or something, she has had a crush on this guy, and he is one of he's an idol. He is in the same idol group as this guy. The group's called Like Legend, and obviously the main couple in the first 5 volumes, he's in Like Legend, and she's like his fan. Well, she wasn't his fan, but she became his fan. But yeah, he's one of the group mates of the other male lead, and she is an actress who's always had a crush on him, and they have recently been cast together in a drama where they're playing a couple, and she's like wants to take this opportunity to maybe grow closer to him and maybe like confess to him. But yeah, I did actually like this couple. I'm not sure whether I like them more than the first couple yet, but I did actually quite enjoy their story and quite enjoyed this volume. Like, the character types of these two are more the types I tend to like reading about over the types of the previous couple. Anyway, because he was very like... He was what the guy in the first part of the story. He was what would be considered a golden retriever boy, and they're kind of not my typical types that I like to read about, like yanderes and golden retriever boys. I don't tend to like. But yeah, I think I might end up enjoying this couple more, but as of right now, I'm unsure. Next, on the 24th, not too many more left to go, I read Stay By My Side After the Rain. This is a 2-volume long BL, and I really like this one. I give this one 4 stars. We followed these 2 guys, and they knew each other in high school. I think they were friends in high school. And was it this guy had a crush on this guy, and he like confessed to him? And did he confess to him in high school, or did he just confess that he was gay? I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, they were friends in high school, and it's either... I can't remember exactly if he confessed his feelings to him directly or whether he just confessed to him that he was gay. I'm not quite sure which one it was, but lately they have met up again. He's like... I think he's... Did he... Yeah, he came to this cafe. I think he's resigned to himself that he's never going to be in a relationship, that he's always going to be alone. And then he goes to this cafe and he finds that this guy was at the cafe. He doesn't work at the cafe, he was just at the cafe. And they have like a talk, and he's like, you know I liked you in high school, right? And he's like, well, I kind of like you now, so do you want to go out? And he's unsure what to think of that, whether he's just humouring him, whether he actually likes him. And he's kind of, it's a very nice. Yeah, I like this one. It was quite sweet. And I'm definitely going to read the second volume. If you like, what is this? No, this one didn't. I didn't think this one had any explicit content. If you like the sweet, slightly dramatic BL, I would suggest this one. It is good. It's only 2 volumes. I'm definitely going to pick up the second one. Because I did like this one quite a bit. I think I'm getting some parts of it confused with Only the Stars Know, because that one also, there was a cafe. But yeah, he doesn't work in the cafe, he was just at the cafe. It was good. Next, on the 25th, I read Adult's Picture Book Volume 2. And I recently found out that this is only 3 volumes long. The next volume's the last one, and I was like, what? How? There is so much to explore in this series. And there's so much that still needs answering that I don't know how they're going to finish this in 3 volumes. I really don't. Because obviously, he had a best friend. These two were best friends from college onward, and it's hinted at quite strongly that he had feelings for his friend. We don't know 100% whether these feelings were romantic or what, but they seem to have been. And his friend had a daughter. We don't know much about Kiki's mother right now, but he had a daughter. And he died, I think, in an accident. And he leaves a note with his friend saying, take care of my daughter, I'm leaving her to you. So he's now taking care of Kiki, and he's trying to officially adopt her, but it's quite difficult in Japan, at least, to adopt a child as a single man. So in order to be able to guarantee that he can get custody of her and be her official adopted parents, he needs to be with somebody. So he's at some place, something place to do with official documents, and he meets this woman who kind of looks a bit like his friend did, and he just randomly comes out and is like, will you marry me? Do you want to help me raise this girl? And she's like, okay. So now she's moved in with him, and they're starting to become a family. But we're kind of only at the start of that. She's moved in with him, they're living together now. But he's tried to convince Kiki that she is her birth mother, but Kiki knows the truth of that she isn't. And there's stuff with Kiki's birth mother as well, and she's out of the picture as he claims her to be. And who even was she? We don't know much about her. But yeah, there's still so much to do with this series. Obviously, he already has a relationship with Kiki because he's had Kiki for a bit of time now, but he's basically only just met this woman. And even if it's not a romantic relationship, because it is quite possible that he is gay, he needs to kind of build some sort of relationship with this woman, even if it is just a strong friendship. Because they are living together, raising this girl now. And I don't know how they're going to do all this development in 1 more volume. Plus go over all the stuff with Kiki's birth mother. Plus find out more about his relationship he had with his friend. And discuss that more. I don't know how all this is going to be crammed into 1 more volume. I don't know if this series was cancelled or whether it was always meant to be 3 volumes long. But I just can't see it finishing well with so much left to do in just 1 more volume. So I have a feeling that maybe it was cancelled because there's just so much story left to tell. Obviously the next volume, by the way this one ended, is going to go over the stuff with Kiki's birth mother. And it's probably going to sort all that out. But even with that sorted out, there's still the relationships between this new family that need to grow. That is just not going to have time to happen. There's still so much to explore with his relationship with his friend. and what he actually meant to him and how he actually felt about him. And it's just like, it's not going to be fit into one more volume. Like, it's probably going to finish off the stuff with Kiki's birth mother, but I can't see it doing much else. So I'm definitely going to read the 3rd volume, but I just can't see it ending well when there's so much left to do in just 3 volumes. But yeah, I did enjoy this volume, and I did give it 3.5 stars. Next, on the 26th, I read Marisa Kitsune-sama. This I gave 3 stars. This is a supernatural BL about a guy who marries a fox. So there's a tradition in this village where they always send like a bride to the foxes every so often, and the leader of the foxes currently is this guy, and he's very excited about becoming his bride, and he goes to the fox world, and then he finds out that he's been cursed by his younger brother, so whenever he gets horny, he feels the need to eat him. So they kind of have to avoid each other, or else he's in real danger of actually just eating him. So the main focus is trying to break this curse that his brother has put on him. There is a slight sex scene at the very end, but it's in a side story, I believe, and it's not too explicit. So yeah, they're trying to like break this curse that he had put upon him by his brother. But he's like, I can't just ask my brother to remove the curse, because he's a bit of an arsehole, and he just wouldn't do it. So they're trying to think of another way to remove the curse, so he can actually be with him without being eaten for dinner, basically. And it was interesting, but it wasn't too great. So I only gave it 3 stars. But yeah, it's kind of worth a read. The ending wasn't too great. Obviously things were resolved, but it was okay. It wasn't my favourite thing I read this month, but it wasn't terrible. It's just a bit strange. Next, on the 27th, I read Quaria. I don't know what that word means or how to pronounce it. Under the Snow. I gave this 3.5 stars. This is the same author as Seaside Stranger. If you like Seaside Stranger, you will like this. If you don't like Seaside Stranger, you won't like this. Because it's very similar in the way it's written and the way it's done. Much like Seaside Stranger, the story feels more realistic, the characters feel more realistic. Like, it's just like everyday things happening. It feels very much the same as Seaside Stranger. In the way the characters are and the way they behave and like interact and stuff. But I followed 2 college students, and they live in the same dorm building. So we have this guy here who has like, he doesn't have the best view of like people or relationships because of his dad. His dad kind of walked out on him when he was a kid, and he was hardly ever around. And his dad walking out on him kind of broke his mother, and his mother then left. So he was left to be raised by his grandmother, basically. And then there's this guy who lives in the same dorm as him. I think he's the neighbours in the dorm. And he's very openly gay. He sleeps with a different guy every night. And he does not approve of this because, obviously, him sleeping around reminds him of his dad, who also cheated on his mum. So yeah, he's with a different guy every night. He says he doesn't really care who it is, as long as they're willing to have sex with him. And he kind of doesn't agree with that, but he says the other guy's like, well, it's none of your business. It's not like I'm sleeping with you. It's not like I'm gonna make you sleep with me. It's my life, basically. But they kind of still become friends. He like starts trailing after him and trying to befriend him, and obviously he ends up despite saying he won't, falling for him. And yeah, it's basically just their interactions and what happens with them, basically. There's not a lot of romance in this one. Obviously, he does fall for him. There's not a lot of, like, romantic interactions between them, is what I'm saying. But it was good, it was interesting, I enjoyed it. But as I say, if you enjoyed Seaside Stranger, you will probably like this. If you didn't, don't bother, because you won't like it. It's kind of it's very similar in terms of writing and characters and the way it is. But yeah, I liked it. I like finding out more about the characters. The characters are quite interesting in this person's Kanaki's series. They all have interesting backstories that all like have more to them, and the way they behave is like kind of studied a bit, and yeah, I like it. Next, on the 28th and the 29th, it took me a couple of days to read this one again. It's a manga, it's quite thick. I read The Lady and Her Butler one. I gave this 3.5 stars. I didn't quite like this as much as the like Yen Press webtoons I've been reading, but I did enjoy it. It's just not quite as much. And this is like it's an office romance, but they don't work together. She works in an office, he doesn't. So we follow this woman, and she's kind of independent because of her mother. And her mum was kind of totally dependent on her father. And then obviously something happened to her father when she was a child, leaving her mother a single mother. And because she was totally dependent on her father, she kind of fell apart after her husband's... what happened to her husband. And obviously their life went downhill. She was always then trying to date other men because she like needed a man in her life to depend on. She couldn't depend on herself. And her daughter, the main character, seeing this is like, I'm never going to depend on a man. I don't want to end up like my mother. I'm going to be independent. I'm going to depend solely on myself. I don't need a relationship or anything like that. So at the start of the series, she's asked out by her boss, and she just like flat out turns him down straight away. And then she goes home, and this guy turns up, and he has been the victim of like an apartment scam where he has been sold an apartment that already has a tenant. So basically he's homeless. He's also lost his job. He's in a terrible position, and he's got nowhere to go. So she asks her if he could possibly stay, and she's like, no, I don't want you here. Why would I let you into my house? You're a strange man. I don't know you. So he's like, oh, but I'm gay, so you don't have to worry about me doing anything to you. Obviously, he's not gay, he's just lying to make it so she can allow him to live there. And eventually, after a couple of days, she does actually allow him to stay, and he basically becomes the housekeeper because she's so busy at work most of the time, she doesn't have time to take care of the house, so he's kind of does that for her whilst also trying to find a new job. And obviously, there is going to be a romance between the two of them, obviously. But there's nothing like between them yet. They're just more friends at the minute. Yeah, it is interesting. The characters are interesting, and I'm going to continue it. I think I will enjoy it. Overall, I just don't think it's quite as good as like Secretary Kim or See You in My 9 Life or A Business Proposal. But it is, if you like those, I would definitely, yeah, you should definitely check it out. It is good. If you like the modern day kind of slice of life office romances, yeah, give it a go. It's interesting. And I did enjoy it. I gave it 3.5 stars. Which is like a 7 out of 10. But yeah, I'm interested to find out more. And I did prefer the second half over the first. But yeah, I did really like it. Just not quite as much as those other 3. And then on the last day, on the 30th, I read Spring Storm Monster Volume 1, which I gave 4 stars. This is a step-sibling romance, but not really. Because obviously, she's very, like, not very introverted, but she's a loner. She doesn't like making friends. She doesn't want, like, anybody in her life, basically, other than her mother. And she likes nothing more than just going into her room and with her pig, because she has a pet pig. Her pig's very cute, by the way. And just being on her own. That's all she wants to do. Have a quiet, uneventful life where she just quietly goes through, there's the pig, without any trouble. And her mother is remarrying. Her mother has told her she's remarrying. It's just the spring, I don't know how the blue like in some series. And the guy she's remarrying has a son. But as you find out pretty much not that far into the first volume, that he's not actually his son. He's just he's a relative of one of his relatives who was kicked out of the house and has been passed from family to family to family and has now been passed on to him. So they're not actually step-siblings because he's not actually her mother's husband's child. He's just a relative he's taken in. But he's a delinquent. He, like, beats people up all the time. He's not very sociable. He's obviously had a terrible past. We don't know much about it, though, other than one incident, which he does mention. And his new stepsister is the first person who's really been very kind to him. But the reason is she doesn't want, like, her mother. Her mother's a very happy person. She seems to be happy in this relationship. And she doesn't want this relationship to break down. She doesn't want anything troubling her mother. So she doesn't want him causing any problems in the family. So she kind of taken on herself to kind of, like, look after him. Because he is, like, she's in her first year of high school. He's in his third year of middle school. So they're, like, a year apart. But he is slightly younger than her. And she kind of starts learning more about him and his past and stuff. And she starts to become more, like, endeared to him a bit. Even though she's totally petrified of him at first. And so, because she starts acting kind to him, he's never really experienced that before. So he's kind of drawn to her and starts, like, becoming quite interested in her. And he kind of, like, attaches himself to her. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. It's by the author of Cheeky Brat and Stray Cat and Wolf. If you like those two, I think you would like this one. It is enjoyable. I did like it. I found our main characters here to be quite interesting. So even if you're not a fan of step-sibling stuff, maybe still give this one a try, because as I said, technically they're not step-siblings, because he's not related. Well, he is related to her stepdad, just very distantly. And the stepdad doesn't even... He's never lived with him before. He's only had him for, like, a week before the marriage happened. So even the stepdad doesn't really know him. He hasn't been with him long. But yeah, they want to, like, treat him well and, like... The stepdad's aware of his issues, and so is she, but the mother's not really aware of it. And she kind of wants to keep it that way, because she doesn't want any trouble to come to her mother's life. But yeah, so she has to kind of give up on her quiet life of sitting in her room, being a hermit, basically. And yeah, it's very good. And the pig's cute. So yeah, if you enjoyed her other series, give this one a go. It is good. Anyway, that is everything I read in the month of November. And I'll be back again this month with my most anticipated reads for 2025, the new series that are going to be releasing next year that I'm most looking forward to. That'll probably be sometime next week. And as I said, my favourite reads of the year will probably be after Christmas, but before the new year. Just to give me a bit more time to read a few more volume 1s and stuff, which may end up being included. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again then. And bye bye.